See, believe, achieve.
This is former UFC middleweight champion of the world, Michael Bisping.
Paddy the Baddy here, you're listening to Combat Sports UK.
And you're watching Combat Sports UK.
I'm so excited for my next guest because he's got a really interesting fight coming up here against Cody Durden, UFC Fight Night, April 29th. It's right around the corner. It is Charles Johnson back here on the program. Charles, how are you, man?
I'm good. How you doing, James?
Doing awesome. It was good to finally meet you. What was it, last month in Vegas, even though it was very brief?
Yeah.
It was great to see you out there. But I know this is a fight with you and Cody that has been talked about for a while. Where did this all start? Because it seems like there's some beef, and I want to go all the way back to the beginning with this.
Yeah, it started, I'm assuming, around the Makayev fight. After the Makayev fight, because Makayev was training with him for that fight.
Mm-hmm.
He beat Makayev, and then they were training together, I guess, at ATT. And he had made a comment or something about me around the Makayev fight. And then after the Makayev fight, as usual, I'm looking for new opponents. I like being active, and I like, just shooting it out. And I have no problem reaching out to people. Twitter is the best source to actually talk to other fighters. So I didn't tag anyone. I was just like talking to regular, like putting something out for fans. I was like, who do you guys think would be a good matchup? And he was one of the names that I listed. Tim Elliott, Ulanbekov, and Tyson Nam included. And I was like, who do you guys think would be a great matchup next? And then he made a slick comment then. And from that moment on, I was like, oh, okay. I mean, if you want to fight, we can fight. And then a few months later, I was looking for a fight, and I reached out to him. And at the time, he didn't have a fight. Then I guess he got offered another fight, and he took a fight that was against another opponent that I felt like was an easier fight. And the fight with me was still there, but he didn't take it. And albeit that fighter backed out, whatever happened, and then he was looking for a new opponent within a week's time of it. But I had a fight scheduled in August. So I was like, bro, I got a fight scheduled for November. I was fighting August and November, I believe, and his fight was for December. I was like, we can get to it after this August fight if you want. You chose an easier opponent. You had the chance to fight me, and you chose a different opponent. And so then that was that. And then he continued to make little remarks via social media constantly. And just prodding, just saying little things here and there. And then after my most recent fight, he put out a tweet saying, I absolutely suck, And so it's just like, okay, you've been talking all this shit for over a year now. And now you've had a couple opportunities to fight me, and you didn't. Before I was scheduled to fight Ode, the matchmakers reached out to me to fight him. And it was like 3 weeks out from when we would have fought. And I was like, hell yeah, let's go. And he turned it down. Then he said he had all these things going on. And then next thing I know, within a week, he's like trying to schedule for 3 months later. You just want to fight what I call it a fat camp. You fat, you out of shape, you're not training full time. I'm always training, always ready. And so he just wanted a full camp and to prepare for me, I'm assuming. He shot all those excuses back. But nevertheless, I got the Ode fight and I got the fight with him. And so I've been able to focus on that since the Ode fight.
Okay, well, there you go. I figured there was a bit of a backstory there as far as the two of you, and we'll talk about the matchup in a sec, but you did reference the Ode Osborne fight. It's never fun to talk about a loss, but what did you learn the most from that fight that you're bringing into this one?
Honestly, man, I had so many things going against me for that fight, and I took the chance on myself. When I took the fight, I was feeling great, and I was training Thailand. I was on vacation. I was after the Jimmy Flick fight, so I was just out there, just not really training much, like once a day maybe, but it wasn't hard. But then UFC called me about the Figueiredo. Not Figueiredo, about the what's that boy name? Osborne fight. and I was just like, yeah, hell yeah, let's do it. I'm in Thailand, what better place to get into fight shape, and Muhammad was out there at the time. So um, I had a good guy to wrestle with and just get in shape and train with really for like two weeks to prepare for that fight, 2 3 weeks. It was 12 days out, so like almost 2 weeks to 12 day notice fight. Um, and so yeah, albeit after I accepted the fight, about 3 days before I flew out, I got a sinus infection. Um, and then, you know, 30 plus hours in traveling, and then a 15-hour time difference on top of that. When I got to Vegas, for some reason, it was sleeting. I'm like, what are the chances it's sleeting in Vegas at this time, and the wind mile per hour, like 20 plus miles per hour for like the 2 days leading up to weigh-in? Like, what is going on, So you go from a humid weather to very dry and windy. And so it was just rough leading up to weigh-ins and everything. But, I handled my business, did what I needed to do. And I feel like I won that fight. Everybody I spoke to about that fight, everybody who I saw speaking about the fight, so I won. And the adjustment you make is every time I chose to defend a takedown in that fight, I defended a takedown. When I chose to take a risk in the third round and go for a guillotine / reversal, he took me down. I got right back up. When I think about the fight, I don't remember him having any moments, and I think about me having a few moments. And when you think about a fight, you think about who won the fight. At the end of the fight, it's like I did all the damage and I had all the moments, but I won the fight and he won the competition. But I didn't feel like he won the competition, in my opinion. But that's just me. You never know how judges are looking at things. So it is what it is. A lot of people felt like I lost the Zalgiris fight when I felt like I won every round of that fight. So it was just people look at things differently. And moving on from that fight, I still don't feel like I lost. I feel like I'm on a 3 fight win streak, and I feel like I'm going for my fourth. In this next fight, I didn't lose any momentum. I'm happy. I was blessed enough to get an opportunity to make some money for my daughter who's being born on May 12th. And I'm just excited about every opportunity that I'm getting to continue to put myself in front of everybody.
Well said. Well said. Let's talk about Cody Durden. Style-wise, how are you looking at this one?
He's gonna come. I love how he fights. I love his intensity. I love that he's a scrapper. He's very competitive, and it's gonna it's gonna fit well with my style. I like fighting that type of fight too. I like getting in there and going. So you get a lot of guys that like to blitz and play away. I don't think I'll have that with him. So I'll have chances to put my hands on it. I have opportunities to wrestle. It's gonna be a lot of scrambling. It's gonna be a lot of back and forth. And yeah, I'm very excited about this fight because of that. I don't know. With a full camp, I don't get tired. My last fight, I had a lot of things going against me, and I got tired. But like, it was so much shit going on that people don't like. I've never using the third round. I'm able to switch and go into another gear. In that round, that fight, I was just kind of like and breathe out my nose, blowing loogies out, etc. Right in between rounds. So this fight, I'm feeling great. My cardio's up. I'm hitting better times than I was 2 camps ago when I fought Flick, and better than when I was preparing for Makayev. I haven't been healthy for like any of my UFC fights, um, and like I was in a boot all the way up until when I fought Makayev, and they said I was one wrong movement away from tearing my Achilles. My Achilles was punching. I had to walk in that whole camp up until 2 weeks out. When I fought Zalgiris, I was semi-healthy, but I still had MCL and ACL sprains. After him, I had issues. After I fought Jimmy Flick, I broke my hand. My hand was broke when I fought O'Day. So it's just like every fight, you have things that fighters are dealing with, and I train to fight through everything. And I continue to stay active. So this is saying all of that. This is the healthiest I've felt since my UFC debut.
Okay, good to know.
And it's showing in my training, my progression with my numbers that we have with my strength and conditioning coach and everything that we're doing. You can see I'm starting to peak, and it's like perfect for the fight next week. And so it's just when I look at Cody, I look at me, and I look at who he's fought. He's on a 2-fight win streak. He's looked great in his last 2 fights, and he has a lot of confidence coming into this fight, and understandably so, good for him. But I'm coming to fuck him up.
Love
Point
it.
blank, period.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love it, man. Training camp, who have been some of the main guys? Have you structured camp first off, and second, who have you mainly been training with for this one?
I have at least 3 or 4 guys. 2 of them come from collegiate wrestling. A couple of them come from very high level wrestling in high school, and they compete in MMA. And so I have a very strong room. One of them, my main training partner, who's been my main training partner for the last 2 years, is Mondo Gutierrez, who just competed on this year of Ultimate Fighter at 135, in which will debut in May, I believe. And so he's been my main training partner, extremely good grappler, strong, and just durable, great, savvy on the ground. And then I have about 3 other guys that are pro and high level amateurs that they're good bodies. And then everybody's bigger than me in the gym, so that's great too. They're all 135ers. A couple of them are trying to make that transition to 25, but they're still kind of big. So it's great bodies for getting that short wrestler type look, or just strong, powerful hips. Whenever I fight these wrestlers, I'm very confident.
How's this fight playing out on April 29th? I know you said you're going to take his head off. How do you see it going down?
I'm going to hurt Cody Durden. Like, I'm putting something on him, and I'm going to break his fucking face. He's done a lot of talking, and I'm always like, I'm a fun guy, man, and I like getting into social media spats. That makes this more fun. I like living up to the talk, and I like stepping in there and making you prove your words, So I'm definitely gonna break his shit. Like, I'm breaking his will and I'm breaking his face. That's my whole goal plan. Like, the last 2 fights, I was able to open up my opponents, and now it's like every time I get in there, that's what I want to do now. I want to make my opponents bleed, and I'm trying to hurt them. And I never felt like that until recently, and I think it's just my mindset has changed, and I'm really trying to like get guys out of there now. I got aspirations to get to the belt, and a couple of my former opponents are doing real well for them. So, like Brandon Royval, we had a really close back and forth fight in LFA. He got the decision, and I envy him. I like what he's doing. I envy him, and I think as well as he's doing, it just projects for me as well. And it's great seeing him do what he did this past weekend. I'm happy for him, but for me, I feel like I have all those things. I got to put it together in 3 rounds, and I got all the opportunities to do it.
Flyweight title is going to be defended not against Davidson Figueiredo coming up in July on that UFC 290 card. Who do you see winning that fight? Obviously, it's Alexander Pantoja, Brandon Moreno. Pantoja has wins over Moreno. Who do you see taking it this time?
I think Moreno touches him up and finishes him. Obviously, you got that mental barrier that Moreno will have to get over with having lost to this man twice. But Pantoja kind of has his number, but I don't think that Pantoja's style with Moreno's growth is going to bode well. So I got Moreno with that, and then I got Royval against Moreno. I thought I got Royval upsetting.
Okay.
If he gets the title shot.
And what do you make of Davidson Figueiredo staying at 125? It looked like he was going to move up. Now he's fighting Manel Kopp. Do you like that because it's a potential fight for you down the line, or are you kind of like, man, this guy's like clogging up the division a bit?
I think it's great because it allows new blood in that top position, especially if Manel's able to get the job done. And then any fight like that, I got the opportunity to be a fill-in. So I'm like, hey, call me if something happens.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to put it for for the division is great. Seeing new guys move up in the division, get opportunities higher. And I think it's smart that Davidson stayed at 25. I don't think that 35 is good for him. It's too many wrestlers, you know. It's a lot of wrestlers at 25 as well, but he can use more of his power and his athleticism at 25 than he can at 35.
Just curious, how many more fights do you have left on your UFC contract? I was trying to remember that.
3 within this contract.
Oh, okay, cool. So
I got a new
oh, you got a new contract for the last fight.
My first fight of my new contract was Cody.
Okay. There we go. That makes sense to sort of re-up there. Charles, thanks so much for doing this. If there's anyone you want to thank before we get out of here, any sponsors, any social media, I'll give you the last word.
Oh, yeah. I want to thank Glenn Lansing and Prime Combat, my coach, Murcielago MMA, and my manager, Sucker Punch, Brian Butler, for just taking care of me. You know, everything's great. Shout out to my teammates and all my coaches. And shout out to you, the man, Mr. Lynch, for having me on again.